Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. Today is a day that's been set aside to honor the many brothers and sisters who have given their lives in battle all across the world. Specifically, America honors it because of the gentlemen and ladies that gave their lives to preserve what they consider America's democracy. Gave their lives to prevent the kind of lifestyle that Donald Trump and MAGA is trying to reorient here in America. And yet, as much as these are honored, there are those today who have put themselves in a position to be available to kill and to die, to still preserve what America has always talked about. And many of them still are living on the streets, unemployed. And I say these things because they are important to me, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we're living at a time when society apparently has sucked all of the life out of life, the joy of living, the beauty and pleasure of being alive, because you have to spend all of your time hustling, all your time working, committed to something that you don't really like, but you do it because you need money. And you just grow old and bitter, and you find people who try to find some way to bring that zest back to life, and they do drugs, and they do alcohol, they do other things just trying to see if they can find it. You know, sometimes people say God is a loving God and God has set things up so whatever come our way is something that we brought on ourselves, whether it's good or whether it's bad. The storms come just as the celebrations. And many times we're seeking the celebration. I'm seeking the celebration. I'm sure you are as well. But when the celebration isn't there, when you give it all you got and all you can do is exist and exist and exist, then that indicates that there's a lot of confusion somewhere that needs to be satisfied. And so as I sit here today thinking about the lack of beauty that we've had robbed, you remember when you were a child, you say, well, I didn't have any responsibilities. Well, the thing about it is today, if you were connected to the right source, you would be living as if you had no responsibilities, because those responsibilities that you do have is where your joy is hooked up. You see, a moment ago I was talking about those who gave their lives to preserve what democracy is about. I was a man in the military. Yeah, I was in the United States Navy. And there was a president by the name of Ronald Reagan. And people, for some reason or another, and you know what those reasons are, loved him. But there were others who did not benefit from this Ronald Reagan, this president of the United States, Ronald Reagan. And it was causing a lot of pain and suffering. And to be in the military abroad, and your nation is doing something that despicable to you, for whatever the reasons, it's embarrassing. Just like I'm so glad that the guy that's running MAGA, I'm glad that it's not black, because it's embarrassing. And to have a president who cared little or nothing about certain countries, about certain populations, that's embarrassing. So I refuse to take orders as a protest. Not just a protest because this stuff was happening. No, it was happening, but you didn't want to change. And you had no conscience of the impact. And so you make your statement. And I wasn't just only making a statement at that point in time, though it was, but I wanted the statement to speak for today, at a time when we're going through all of these different crises. And when you are putting politicians in office who go there and jive turkey, deceive you about who they are, and when you're expecting them to respond according to who they present themselves as, and you find yourself out there alone, It tells you something. Yes? And once you know what you're dealing with, it makes a difference. So I wanted to say that if you care, and I do care, and I'm not ashamed of when I say I care, because I know what my caring represents. It represents joy. It represents beauty. And when I say that, I'm talking about that if it benefits any, it benefits all. And then let's just say that well, I'm not interested. Well, then it doesn't cause pain or suffering to anyone. That's the thing that determines something, whether it's divinely led or whether it's a jive turkey coming from some man's head. Because man's head, you can bet your last dollar, is selfish as can be. It's as selfish as can be. And the truth is, the pain is coming. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm dealing with every day. This is what you are dealing with every day. You might be rich. You might be sleeping in a ditch. But it doesn't matter. You're still a part of this equation. And this equation is not going to be fixed by some slave master trying to regenerate himself. That's not going to fix anything. And if you got a gun, even at home, that's not going to fix anything. Because for every weapon, there is, my friend, a defense and an offense. So I want to say, let us choose. I'm saying to me, I'm saying to you, let us choose, even in the midst of this storm, the best for you, the best for us. And what is that best? Peace and prosperity and freedom and joy and happiness and our dreams being realized. Our needs, our wants, and our desires being met, not having to suffer for anything. Why? Because we got the greatest career that's possible. It gives us our greatest joy. And everything else in living is just cream on the top. We don't have to do drugs. We don't have to try to sneak around with the significant other of another person. We don't have to do any of those things. Why? Because we are alive. We are alive. Well, I think I'll just slow down now for a minute. Yeah, there's one other thing I want to share with you before I close. Our nation is experiencing a lot of natural disasters. Storms, thunderstorms, floods, you name it. It's all happening. Yes. Now, I've been giving this stuff a lot of thought. And I'm basically convinced that if we weren't such cruel people toward one another, nature would not be doing these things to us. But I sense that these things are happening because we are so cold and so ungodly. So I'm just saying, maybe we could consider being nicer to one another. And maybe nature would see this, because the pain and suffering that's coming from this destruction, it appears as if there might not be enough what we call insurance to fix this problem. You know, people trying to hold on to money, not trying to get rid of it. And when too many storms are coming, the money slides up, and the pain is going to be spread across the board. So let's just stay ahead of the game. Learn something from the past. All right? I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.